Welcome to Bastogne in Belgium for round 15. We've got 3 rounds to go. Yep, that's right, just 3. Coming up on today's programme, we'll be cooking with riders that aren't really chefs. We'll be taking a historic journey through this beautiful region, and we'll be zip-lining with riders that really ought to know better. Welcome to beautiful Belgium.
Round 15 of the FIM Motocross World Championship comes to Bastogne, a town in Belgium steeped in history. Everywhere you look, there are constant reminders of the sacrifices American soldiers made in the region in the Second World War, from the Sherman tank of the 11th Armoured Division known as Thunderbolt, which sits proudly in the square in the centre of town, to the Desalle Memorial erected in memory of the 76,890 American soldiers who were killed, wounded or missing during the Battle of the Bulge. But there will be a battle of a different kind out on track this weekend as Tony Cairoli looks to make his own piece of history as he attempts to claim his 7th world title. But it could prove difficult as home rider Clément Desalle will do all he can to prevent the Sicilian winning on Desalle's home turf. For Desalle, the task is easy: score more points than Cairoli to take the title fight to the British Grand Prix in a week's time. But if Cairoli scores 10 more points than Desalle, then the title is his.
Hello.
Hello.
So, what do you guys know about this region? Because it's a pretty important one in terms of World War II history.
I actually don't know anything about it, so
Do you not?
Just tell me.
Well, this is obviously a memorial, and it's about one of the biggest battles towards the end of World War II. But talking of history, what was your guys' situation at school? Because I know it's like it must be a pretty tough schedule growing up.
Actually, I was pretty long in school. Yeah, it was a pretty difficult time because, you know, I was only practicing once a week. It was so difficult to make it happen in the weekend, and yeah, I actually decided to stop at school, and till now it's all fine.
And how about you, Pascal?
Yeah, for me, I go to school till I was 15. Then I started to work in one company, and I got a really good boss there. I mean, I had to work a little bit there, but I got always free for practice, so I got a lot of luck with that.
Glenn, looking back, what would you advise young people to do in your situation?
I think if you feel you really have it in it, then I would say go for it and just make it happen. But if you're just in between, you know, try to make it the best. Go to school and try to organize something with the school that you get some free from school, or a different schedule for the school. And
what was your favorite subject at school?
My favorite was always sports, and I also like math. I mean, I'm good in that, and I pretty like it.
Math is pretty rare. No one likes math.
I like it a lot. I mean, I never had to learn for that, so it was pretty good. I did a lot of things next to school, and in the winter we go for skiing, in the summer for downhill, or also some soccer, or just everything what makes fun, you know. And I think it's important to keep your body fit, to do a lot of sports, and when you're young, and also when you're older, but sure, the best was always to be on the bike.
Kevin Strybos and Glenn Kolenoff take us for a lap around this Bastogne circuit. About 90 metres to the first turn, 180 degree left, immediately past pit lane into turn 2. And as you enter, you drop down a slight drop off. Then the turn starts to open up. 2 singles through there, can't take it as a double jump, but then it opens up. We hit the Radisson triple jump, levelling out slightly before hitting the big step up into turn 3. If you jump, chances are you're going to have to go wide around the outside, get back on the gas. You can double on the inside through the split rhythm section. You go tight to the inside, or you can rail around the outside. Either way, there are 4 waves on the exit. Takes us to the step down into turn 5. which is an off-cambered left-hand turn when there are no ruts in it. As you can see, pretty rutty through there at the moment. Come out of there, over a single, under the Iveco banner, through the next turn, and then we head up into turn 7. A slightly bank to the outside right-hander, which takes us to the bottom end of the circuit. Under the DH bridge, through a double, down the straight, into another double, into turn 8. That's a flat right-hander over the Monster Energy tabletop jump. Short straight, into a single. Then we hit the 90-degree left-hander. That is turn 9. Come out of there, step up onto a plateau. Then the longest turn on the track, turn 10. Eventually taking us through 180 degrees. Downhill, slightly off-cambered, very rutty as well. Before opening up over a single jump, back into the main spectator area. Then we head through a left, over an offset single. Dropping into turn 12. And then heading up over the Monster Energy tabletop. And then up towards turn 13, but there's a big step-up jump right on the entry to that. Landing hard, braking even harder to make this 180 left. Dropping away slightly on the exit, and then downhill into the final turn on the track. The right-hander. Then we head back uphill over the Monster Energy finish line jump. Continue straight, and then rejoin at the start gate. In the MX2 qualifying race, Jeffrey Hurlings, the world champion, crashed out and dislocated his shoulder, we believe. So all eyes were on the rest of the pack to see who would pick up a race win and potentially the overall Grand Prix. Well, it was Maxime Dupre who got the whole shot ahead of his teammate Dean Ferris. The two Monster Energy Yamahas ahead of the Red Bull KTM of Jordi Tixier and the Yamaha 23 of Christophe Charlier, who made a move early on and got himself into 3rd place. Those two battled it out for a little bit longer, the next 5 or 6 laps, but up front, trying to make a break for it, was the 141 of Dupre, but he was hard pushed by his teammate. Dylan Ferrandis, the 122 on the Bud Rockstar Racing Kawasaki, made a good start as well. He got himself up into 5th place, about the mid-distance, and he started going after Jordi Tixier, so it was a battle of the Frenchmen. In fact, there were a lot of Frenchmen battling for the first top 6 positions. Alessandro Lupino found himself going out with a mechanical problem, and he would have to wait till moto number 2. Jake Nichols fell as well from 7th, would eventually come home a little bit lower down in 11th. But this guy here, Maxime Dupre, looking at having a good ride, unlike his teammate, Mel Pocock, who fell and bent the bike and would have to sit out the rest of moto number 1. Jordi Tixier, though, started pushing, and pushing a little bit too hard was Alexander Tonkov. He thought there was a problem with the bike, but he was sent back out to rejoin the race. 2/3 distance, though. Dean Ferris found a way around the outside of his teammate and took the lead on lap 14. It was raining by this point in the race as well, so the Australian threw away his goggles because he'd been filled in and had no visibility left. The track was very slippery, as Jordi Tixier found out. That allowed Dupre and Charlier to close back in, and it would be a costly mistake as well. Charlier went after the younger French rider of Maxime Dupre and made the pass here with about 4 laps to go. That got him into 3rd place, as Dylan Ferrandis suffered a mechanical problem and went out of 4th position with about 3 laps to go. Dean Ferris, though, had never won a race until today, and he won moto number 1. In race 2, all eyes then on Dean Ferris. Could he make a repeat performance and do the double here? Could he even win the Grand Prix? A few riders went down on the entry to turn 1, but it was Glenn Koldenoff on the standing construct KTM that took the whole shot, but not for long, as Ferris stormed through in turn 2. Just behind them was Jose Boutron on the Silver Action KTM, number 17. He was in 3rd, ahead of Charlier and Romain Febvre on the Wilvona Star and GM Racing KTM. Boutron, though, was having a good time in 3rd place. Was being pushed all the way by Charlier. Remember, no Jeffrey Hurlings on the line, so somebody was going to pick up a potential race win here. Romain Febvre thought it might be him. He charged down the inside of Charlier and took 4th place on lap 4. Boutron then would feel the heat from the hard-charging former European 250 champ. But could he find a way past the Spaniard? Once again, we had intermittent weather conditions. Charlier lost the front and the back and went down. He would eventually come home in 7th position, but up front, making it look easy and staying out of trouble, was the 111 Australian Dean Ferris. He was in control, he'd opened up a gap of around about 7 seconds. A little bit further behind, Alessandro Lupino and Alexander Tonkov were battling over 9th and 10th. And a mistake in the penultimate turn allowed Lupino up the inside of the Honda rider. And it was the Italian who stole 9th position. Dean Ferris, though, just had to keep his focus and his concentration. He started to slow up in the closing stages of the race. That allowed Glenn Koldenoff to close back in, but it wasn't enough. And the flag fell, and it was a win for Dean Ferris. Koldenoff came home in second, and Jose Boutron was third, with Tixier fourth. And the overall Grand Prix belonged to Dean Ferris. Tixier was second overall, Koldenoff was third, with Boutron and Fevre rounding out the top 5. So Dean Ferris took his first race win, his first overall Grand Prix victory. It closes him in a little bit closer to Glenn Koldenoff in the fight for 5th position, but there was no change in the top 8 places. So a big day then for Dean Ferris. Becomes the 4th Australian to win a Motocross World Championship Grand Prix. No Jeffrey Hurlings to collect the gold plate, went to his team manager instead.
Back in June, we had the first round of Moto Chef, which Gauthier Paulin won with his classic French starter. We're here in Bastogne in Belgium for the second round at Wagon Leo for crunch time. Gauthier, you were our Moto Chef winner of Majora. What are you going to be cooking for us today?
Today I'm going to cook macaron, caramel, salt and butter. So actually difficult to explain all the ingredients in English because already in France, you know, it's really a long list.
Tony, last time it was a prosciutto you made for us. What have you got for our main course? What are you cooking for us today?
Today it's a main course, so I'm from Italy, so I always bring Italian plates to the game, and this time we're going to cook some pasta.
Evgeny, I can see you've borrowed your mechanics apron for today, but what's on the plate today?
Simple plate, you know, but that's what usually we do in Russia, so because that's what I want to bring from Russia, what the tradition that people see what we eat, and this is what we eat for the second course.
Okay, everybody ready? You have 30 minutes, starting from now. Gauthier, you're cooking one of my favourite desserts. Is this something you cook at home?
I mean, Clémentine, my girlfriend, her grandma, she learned it from her grandma, and then she showed me how to do it, so then I try.
Tony, there looks as though there's a lot more cooking going on this week. How's it all? Is it all going to plan?
Yeah, it's a little bit more work than last week, because last week was just a bruschetta, and I don't know, it's going good.
Bobby, how's it all going?
Perfect. I think I'm almost close to the finish line.
So you're on track to finishing on time?
Yeah, just making a bit like sauce for the plate.
Cooking.
The fish, good quality.
Good flavor, salt, pepper.
Yep.
The potatoes look like professional
Professional potato.
Yeah. The meat is very well seasoned, but
maybe a little bit dry.
Good presentation, good quality.
And the taste is very good,
Yes.
not too much coffee. Well, we have to decide now.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, we have a winner. Let's bring the riders back in. So, the winner of the 2013 MotoChef final round here in Bastogne is Antonio Cairoli. Come and collect your prizes from the judges. Cooking is a serious business for Italians, as is winning championships, but there's only really one man that can stop him, and he's busy further on down the road with his teammate cross-training. Do you think maybe perhaps that 2 years ago your kind of best years were behind you?
Yes, you know, like yeah, 2007 was my last best year, and then I had a lot of injuries. So at one point it was really difficult to keep on going, because yeah, every time when I crashed I had something, so it was quite hard, and I was thinking about quitting. But then, you know, last year working with Harry Everett.
And this year, you're arguably taking some of the best results, well, equally as good results as your best years.
This year I think I had 3 podiums, 2 times third and 1 time second. And yeah, I cannot say I'm not happy with that, but of course you want more. And like my best years, you know, I was winning GP, so I'm just gonna try to do that in Belgium or even in Lirop maybe, where I think I got a big chance to do that.
And it'll definitely be your second year in Team Yellow for you.
I hope so, yes.
Let's go, let's try again.
Let's go.
Oh my God. Right, let's
Sorry,
go. Oh, no! I'm not even gonna lie. You've just completely soaked me. Ah! No! I smell so bad now. What's Clement like outside of the paddock? Clement at home?
Yeah, you know, I'm quite simple guy. I don't need a lot to be happy. I just like to be close of my family, enjoy the good time, and the time of practicing also, because it's a part of my life. And
what kind of things do you get up to outside the races? Like what activities? Or I know you've got 2 goats now.
yeah, I really like animals, and yeah, it was good. You know, my neighbor that to one like that, and I was speaking with my girlfriend that I want 2 goats, and yeah, they are still baby. It's cool. I still have to give them food.
How would you describe your style compared to the other riders?
Oh, you know, it's difficult, but often I hear like I'm looking like I'm not full gas or something, you know, but you know, in my helmet I'm quite fast, you know. For me,
This is true, because from the outside it looks effortless. So you look as though you're riding your own race, you found your own rhythm.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not looking like I'm fast, but for me it's fast, you know.
Potentially, an MX1 World Champion could be crowned at your home event. How do you feel about that?
How I feel about that? I'm not thinking I'm gonna be world champion, so I hope not. And you know, mathematically, it's still possible for me to be world champion. So I'm just looking on a positive way and try to have the best result as possible. And we will see what happens.
Coming into race 1, Tony Cairoli has a 90-point advantage over Clément Desalle. He needs to score 10 points more than the Belgian if he's to be crowned world champion. He was fastest in the qualifying race as well, ahead of Clément Desalle, and he also took the whole shot as Tommy Searle connected with the GoPro camera coming through the first turn. Tony Cairoli then led the early stages of the race with Desalle right on his heels, ahead of the number 21, Gauthier Paulin, back from injury, of course, from Germany. Evgeny Bobyshev on the Honda World Motocross machine got himself into 4th place with this pass on Kevin Strybos. And Ken de Dijker soon found himself on the rear wheel of his fellow countryman and went from 6th to 5th with an aggressive move up the inside of the Suzuki. David Philipparts found himself falling from 8th in the early stages of the race, could only get back to 12th by the time the checkered flag fell, as Gauthier Paulin tried to stay with the leaders, Cairoli and Desalle. De Dijker had 1 or 2 problems mid-distance, and he had to fend off the challenge of Evgeny Bobyshev. A couple of mistakes, though, allowed the Russian to go back through, as De Dijker wrestled with the front end of the KTM. Cost him his concentration for a few laps, but Bobyshev then came under pressure from the 89 of Jeremy Van Hoorbeek. These two were fighting over 5th position. And Van Hoorbeek it was who was on the charge, tried to keep the Russian in his sights, who was urged on by the fans and his team as well. And it was a 3-way scrap for 4th place in the closing stages of the race. Eventually, though, Evgeny Bobyshev found himself on the rear wheel of the 22 Suzuki, and at the end of the straight down the bottom end of the circuit, he slopped through into 4th place. Tony Cairoli was unchallenged at the head of the field, if you call a gap of about 1.5 seconds unchallenged, that is. And Clément Desalle was making the 6-time world champion work until the very last lap when he overjumped, tried to turn tight, got it all wrong, and went down. That handed a nice lifeline to Tony Cairoli, went on to win from Desalle. Paulin was 3rd. So going into the second race, Clément Desalle suddenly found himself with a bit more work to do because that gap had gone out to 13 points. Which means Tony Cairoli needed just 7 points more than Desalle if he's to take the world title in Moto number 2. Intermittent weather meant conditions were very, very difficult. Cairoli got the advantage over Desalle though, but coming through turn 2 on the very first lap, Desalle charged down the inside. He seized his moment. Could he stay there though for the whole moto? Behind them was the number 89 of Van Hoorbeek as he went through on the number 4 of Sebastian Pourcel, riding for Ice One Racing KTM this weekend. He got a good start but faded in the end to 18th, did the Frenchman. Milko Podolzek and Ken de Dijker were fighting as de Dijker came from 14th on the first lap. The two Hondas, the Garibaldi machine number 19 of David Philipparts and the Honda World Motocross, the factory entry of the 777, Evgeny Bobyshev were also going bar to bar in the early stages as they fought over 3rd place. Advantage to the Russian. Gauthier Paulin was on the charge. He found a way past Sean Simpson, but then he got it completely wrong. The two riders almost went down. But a lap later, Gauthier Paulin found himself going out of the race. Just one scare too many for his first race back. Sean Simpson, though, managed to keep it up in 8th place. Number 22, Strybos, found his way up the inside of Philipparts, got him into 5th position. As the rain continued to fall, Clément Desalle had 1 or 2 escapes of his own, losing the front end. That could have been costly for him, but he managed to keep it upright on 2 wheels and continued to put space between himself and Tony Cairoli. He eventually went on to take the checkered flag and victory, not only in the Moto, but he came home a winner in his home Grand Prix as well. Bobyshev came home in 3rd, and that was good enough for 3rd overall. His back-to-back podiums for the Russian, of course. He was on the podium in the Czech Republic 2 weekends ago. Tony Cairoli continues to lead, still 90 points at the head of the field. But with Mathieu Basin in a week's time, it's a little bit closer, that 7th title. But for now, though, Clément Desalle will celebrate on the podium in front of his home fans, picking up his first ever home Grand Prix victory. He at least takes the title race 1 more round to the British Grand Prix, but Cairoli is still in the driving seat.
Well, if you thought the championship was all but over, you've been proved very, very wrong by that performance. It all rolls over to next week in Matterley Basin, when we'll see all of you guys there for the penultimate round of the 2013 FIM World Motocross Championship. We'll see you then.